Good evening and welcome to Survive the Night, a new podcast in which me and whoever is into horror stuff are going to maybe dissect horrific things a little bit more. It's starting with video games, movies, maybe music? I don't know, that's a weird one. Either way.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's a weird one. That would be kind of fun. Like, let's dissect Monster Mash. It was a graveyard smash, or so I'm told. But what does a graveyard smash really mean? Anyways, we're not here to talk about Monster Mash. In this inaugural episode, me and Homer are going to be talking about Until Dawn.
Yes, hello. I'm Homer.
Hi, you're Homer, yes.
Yeah.
So the reason we're going to be doing Until Dawn is because you recently played through it all.
Yep. I streamed the whole game in one sitting.
Yeah, didn't take any breaks or anything. So, not so bad. That game's like, what, 6 hours? Was it 6 hours? It was closer to 7, yeah. I guess.
Well, the stream was up for 6.5, so somewhere around there.
6.5? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, there wasn't any, like, breaks or fiddling around with technical stuff, so...
I just got to stretch every time the game took a break to say, previously on.
Oh, yeah. Every time it did the episodic thing where it was just reminding you of what happened.
Yeah.
That's kind of... I mean, that's something I appreciate, especially in, like, Resident Evil Revelations or, like, games that are built to be mobile at first, where you can, like, turn it off and turn it back on and be like, oh, previously on this. It's kind of weird that Until Dawn does it.
I think it's kind of weird. But I like games that tend to think of themselves more like TV than movies. I just think that kind of, if you're thinking about your game that way, you're probably going to structure it better. Like Azura's Wrath and Driver San Francisco were like the two things I kind of played back to back at the same time that both did that made me think that's a good thing. Games that do this, that's a good structure. I like that.
Games that make you think and do the TV thing specifically. Yeah. I mean, it works. It's probably just a good way to do stuff now anyways. Instead of one long thing, like, give me just a bunch of chunks. I like a bunch of chunks.
Yeah, I think it's a better analogy just given the length of the format. Like, if video games were 2 hours, then sure, make them movies, but...
Sure, right.
Like, who wants to sit through a 6-hour movie?
I mean, I guess nobody.
I do, but...
Like, I know there was a bunch of people that have done the, like, Batman marathons when the theater had them for, like, the new Nolan movies or, like, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. A few people have done that. So, I don't know. That's not something I really want to do, so I don't, I guess.
I could sit through a 6-hour movie, but...
Sure. I mean, I could. I just don't really want to. I guess it depends what the movie is.
Depends.
Yeah.
It's a much higher ask.
Oh, for sure. It's a quarter of your day. Like, It's a huge chunk of your day. It's actually technically like half of your day if you consider that you're supposed to sleep for a good portion of your day. But whatever. And none of that matters. We're here to talk about Until Dawn. So for people who don't know what Until Dawn is, it is an interactive drama horror video game released on the PlayStation 4 only, right? It's not out on anything.
No, it's just PS4.
Right.
It's built in the style of David Cage's stuff like Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls.
Right.
Just in terms of it's that style of adventure game where it's a lot of walking around. Sometimes you interact with things in minor ways, and then there are QuickTime event stuff. Yeah,
like a lot of QuickTime events where you're pushing a button to like make it feel like you're doing a thing or you're helping them along. When really it's just kind of like, I don't know. I don't find QuickTime events as like compelling gameplay ever. So, but I mean, whatever. It's better than doing nothing, probably. Although sometimes I would prefer to just do nothing and watch a thing play out, which is kind of why I like the Metal Gear games, where it's just like, here's like 40 minutes of cutscene after like an hour of gameplay. I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll sit here and watch this and like have some soda or something. I'm good with that. But
yeah, they can do it. It's a tool. It's a very simple tool. I think it's good for if you're making a game that's you want to be accessible to people who wouldn't normally play like more difficult games.
I mean,
think it makes sense there.
It's true, especially David Cage games. Like my girlfriend doesn't play a whole lot of video games, but she has beaten both like Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls by herself, like without me around to help with any parts. So like I know.
I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's an important part of those games, that they're so narrative based that they can be playable by people who are just in it for narrative stuff.
Right. So Until Dawn is one of those types of games, but that's not really what makes it compelling. What Until Dawn is a game that's set in a nondescript Western Canadian mountain range sort of thing, where there's like a group of friends go up to a cabin, do something kind of horrible, and kind of have to face what happened a year later when they're all called back up to the cabin. And then, like, some shit goes down. We're not going to talk around what happens. We'll get right into spoilers and stuff, but that's, like, the basic premise of it. And, it's tropey as hell.
Kind of, yeah, it's very tropey. Like, the setup is classic, kind of cabin in the woods kind of thing of just, not the movie, just that idea. But just set on a snowy mountaintop. So your setting is very cold and snowy and specific.
And it's really weird because there are a few parts in the game where they refer to the fact that they're in Western Canada and they have like Albertan cities mentioned. And I'm just like, oh, God damn it. That's like here. Like, I don't like that at all. Or the like newspapers that you find that are like set to, or either came from or set to go to Edmonton, Alberta. It's like, oh, that's where my parents live. Great. It's just some weird shit when you're like able to relate to any of the shit going on in it. The weird thing though is that none of the characters act Canadian in any way. Like none of them have like a weird accent or talk strange or have any Canadianisms to them. So it's very much just set like this is happening in Canada with maybe some kids from like Montana or something visiting, but it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm pretty sure all the actors are American for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are Canadian either. That is one of the interesting things about this game, though, is that it is like a fully captured game where the characters that you play on screen or like help out or that you're watching were played by real people. And that leads to some super, super awkward parts where the uncanny valley effect happens where it looks very close to real, but it isn't, like, and you can tell. So it's just super janky looking in a lot of parts, especially when Peter Stormare playing the like weird psychiatrist has like this moment where he's just like idling and he does like a jaw thing that looks weird or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The parts with Peter Stormare, who plays a psychiatrist that's part of the like framing device around the game, it's like he's like interviewing you theoretically in certain parts, like periodically throughout the game. But he's such a weird character anyway, and Peter Stormare, that like the uncanny valley just like adds to it,
right?
Kind of there, in a way that like with the other characters, you just try to forget about it.
Yeah,
like I kind of revel in the weirdness of Peter Stormare's the capture on him, whereas the other characters, I just try to like tune it out.
Like the other one that really gets to me out of all the people is Rami Malek or whatever as Josh Washington. Mm-hmm. I don't know. He has a lot of parts where you can tell that the actor was told like you have to feel like a weird psychotic remorseful or whatever in this part. So he does these weird like head movements where he's looking down, but his eyes are looking up because they can't capture eye movement properly in like video game, like from life, but they can capture like head movements properly. So you could tell that like the actual actor Rami or however you say his stupid name is like moving. Like you can tell it probably looked fine, but when it's translated into somebody coding this stuff for like on screen, it's just the weirdest looking jerky shit ever. Everyone else seemed fine. It's specifically him and Peter Stormare, and I think the only reason, like you said, Peter Stormare even counts in this regard is because he's such a creepy dude to begin with that like everything is creepy with him. So
yeah. I don't know. Remy Mac's also kind of weird too. So I feel like it's in some extent it's like accentuating weirdness and making it that much weirder.
I'm trying to think of like other stuff he's been in that is worth talking about. Wasn't he an Old Boy? The remake.
Rami Malek? I don't remember. I just know him from Mr. Robot, the TV show. Okay. Which I haven't seen that much of, just a couple episodes.
I've never seen like Mr. Robot.
He's the main character in that. That's probably what he's most known for.
Okay. People like Mr. Robot, so
yep,
that's cool for him, I suppose. I don't know. He's a weird dude.
Apparently he was in the Need for Speed movie.
That's one I would like to see at some point, actually. I like me some Need for Speed. And isn't oh my god, what's his name? Jesse from Breaking Bad. Jesse, bitch. I can't remember his name. Aaron Paul. Yeah. You'd think I'd remember that name because it has my name in his name, but I don't. So,
but it's in the wrong spot. So
that's why I don't remember it. If it was the other way around, I probably still wouldn't remember it. But whatever.
Whatever. He's Jesse from Breaking Bad forever. It's fine.
For sure. Hayden, like, Panettiere, however you say her name, is in it, and she's fine. And she's, like, the one character I don't hate, like, fervently in it.
I mean, I don't hate Peter Stormare's character.
I don't hate Peter Stormare's character either, but I'm pretty sure that Peter Stormare's character doesn't exist in that game world, and he's all in Josh's head. So
yeah.
So I don't know if I count him as a character.
You're not wrong. Look, a person that has that face might exist. It's just probably not actually the character Peter Stormare is playing.
Right. Okay.
Like you might have a psychiatrist that looks like Peter Stormare, but the things that happen with that character and him in the game
might
are
not
clearly
have happened
in his head. Yeah,
for sure. Okay, so what happens in the game? Basically, you see a group of friends. The game starts off with a group of friends hanging out at these obvious rich kids, like, cabin in the woods sort of thing. A tragedy happens, basically, when they all gang up to pull a prank on one of them, on one of the girls named Hannah. Hannah Washington, who is one of the daughters or like whatever. 3 kids, Josh Washington, Hannah Washington, and Beth Washington. This is their parents' or family's cabin. Hannah Washington gets pranked and is like freaking out. The prank is basically they're gonna like say surprise or whatever when she's like trying to have sex with her crush there. And it's super weird and awkward and terrible.
It's the worst.
It's the worst. It's just one of those things that like shitty teenagers do to each other. But the problem is that she runs off into the woods, and her sister Beth also runs off into the woods trying to like get her back because she's kind of just like in her bra and panties essentially. Like she's not wearing coats or anything.
And she's it's like snowing pretty hard.
It's snowing super hard,
It's super dangerous out there.
And she's like crying and just blah, 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 being like hormonal girl about everything. And like her friends are terrible people and are making fun of her. So she runs off into the woods. Her sister's following close behind. And basically they fall off a ledge.
Yeah, and at the time, Joshua is like passed out drunk. That's why he's not involved.
Right. Yeah, he's just like at the bar, just like completely smashed. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not a character at this point, basically.
Yeah.
And they fall off a cliff and go missing, and nobody has heard from them for a whole year. When the game takes place again, like it does, kind of like a fade out, fade in 1 year later sort of thing, where it shows Josh is like a YouTube sensation or viral sensation dude. And he like sends out a video to all the friends that were there last year to make amends, come up and like spend the weekend partying and all that sort of thing. So the opening kind of opens with all of them heading up, specifically Samantha, who is played by Hayden. And like she's watching the video, and this kind of where you get the exposition from her point of view, because it follows like her on the bus ride up and all that sort of thing. And then you meet the other kids or whatever. I call them kids because they're technically younger than me in that game, even though I'm pretty sure the actors and actresses are my age or older. But
and it's classic like Power Rangers casting.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, you have. Okay, I actually had to open up the list of characters here.
Well, yeah. So the other thing I'll say is, so the way a lot of the game works is it'll switch around a lot between the different characters, and you end up playing as almost all of them.
Right.
But so even in that opening sequence, you're playing as Beth, the sister of the girl who's being pranked, and like you have some limited amount of control there. But you just kind of just see what happens, and then as the story progresses, you sort of bounce between a bunch of the other characters as the game decides.
It's kind of this weird thing in the opening where, like, I believe how it actually starts is like you play as Sam and you like learn how to open a gate or something as you're walking up to the area where the gondola is to take you to the secluded cabin, and then like you find Chris's backpack and it gives you an option to like snoop through his shit. And then it turns in, now you're playing as Chris because we're meeting Chris, and he's like teaching you the mechanic on how to shoot in the game. Like, it's weird. It kind of just like, as a new character gets introduced, you play them for a second or two to learn something.
And with the shooting, it does things like it sets up, okay, just shoot these targets. Then it like just puts a squirrel there as a target thing you can shoot, just to like put it in your head. There are actions you could take, but you don't have to.
Right. If you want to be like a total dick or something, you can do it, but... Yeah. But, basically the characters you get to meet are Hayden, Panettiere, whatever. I'm not going to name all of their like actors and actresses, because I don't even know half of them by like the shit they've done. But you have Sam, you have Josh Washington, who invited them up. You have Mike... you have Jessica, or Jess as they refer to her. You have Ashley. You have Chris. You have Emily, or M. And Matt. You have Matthew.
Yep.
So to like,
and a lot of them, a lot of their introductions they're introduced as to like who they're with or who they like.
Yeah, because that's what's important to teenagers. Like, that is how their whole personality is. So Mike's personality is he's Nathan Drake. Like let's just be straight up. He is like the good-looking, quick, quirky dude who is with Jessica, and Jessica is like the hoary, like sex pervert teenager. Emily is the bitch, and she's with Matt, who's the black dude. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's
and Emily
super tropey.
Used to date Mike.
Right. Emily used to date Mike. And Ashley and Chris like each other, but don't ever mention it, even though everybody in the group knows. And Josh's sisters are dead. Yeah. That's his thing, I guess. And like, Sam's just like the friend with everybody. I think that's why I like her, is because her role isn't to just be a fuck toy for another character necessarily, even though like some of the other characters treat her as one. That's okay to me. It's that the game doesn't treat her as one. until, they do the tropey thing where she's in a towel for half of the game that she's played. But whatever. That's stupid horror video games. It would have been the same if this was a horror movie. She would have been in that towel most of the time too. So
she has an advantage in this kind of story where she's physically fit and like into rock climbing. So
and like running and jogging and stuff. Yeah.
So she's capable of like handling herself.
Yeah, totally. So
yeah.
The thing about this game is that you meet all of the people, and slowly but surely, the night is unraveling some weird mysteries, and you find out that there's like a quote-unquote killer on the loose. That's not what makes this game interesting to me at all, because that part's fun and fine, and that's like the part that they showed off in E3 demos and in like letting people play parts of it. They showed the killer like chasing Sam around the house and stuff like that, and people like giving the idea that this is how this game works mechanically and you're going to be chased by a killer. That's not the case at all, because the game blindsides you and you find out that the killer was basically just Josh pulling an ultimate prank to get a viral hit of like scaring the shit out of his friends and making them all feel super bad about killing his sisters a year ago at the same time. But it takes away from like their point of view. They think that like there's a killer going around. What's actually happening is that there's the curse of the Wendigo is in full force that, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure was started off by Hannah again or whatever on the mountain, and like has just gone into full force now at this point.
Yeah, I think that's unclear.
Okay, we can discuss like theories afterwards, but like
yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, there are Wendigos that have been chained up in that place that I feel like have been there for a while.
Yeah, that's fair.
In the
for
asylum.
Sure. Okay, so for people that don't know what a Wendigo is, it is a Native American like folklore spirit type thing that it's like a Native American version of a monster that I think only happens when they eat the flesh of another person or something like that. I don't know. I'm not
like
really
a Canadian
up on
curse for being a cannibal.
Sure, yeah. The weird thing is that like Wendigos in other stuff have all taken on different forms and whatnot, so it's kind of hard to tell what exactly a Wendigo is.
Cannibalism seems to be involved a lot, it's a curse. That it's a curse and that there's cannibalism.
Right.
I feel like those are
a Wendigo is like a cannibalistic monster for sure, and it's cursed, but a lot of the time, much the same as a lot of folklore and this type of stuff for Native American things, is like looks like an evil deer a lot of the time, or like has like a weird animal skull with like horns and branches and shit, because of course it does. That's how all of these sort of like tribe-based peoples would draw these things and whatnot. So I don't know. The way this game does it is they look like big, fast zombies, essentially. Like skinny, like gout-looking, fast-moving zombies. It's probably like it's actually like a Golem from Lord of the Rings. Is what they remind me of a lot. So
yeah, but like with much longer limbs, and like they're much more into like skittering, like bugs, where they'll like crawl up a wall, stop, crawl very fast, stop, then lunge. They like move very quickly and then stop a lot of the time.
But they are humanoid.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where this game is like super awesome to me. Up until that point, a lot of the killer tropes and horror tropes, like they're well done, and you can play it like legit if you know horror tropes. You can like make the character do this because in your mind, if you do like, well, Mike is he's the hero type. He's going to make this jump. He's not going to take the slow way across this gap or whatever. He's going to go for it to save his girlfriend. So if you do that, you actually save the girlfriend because you make it in time. Like, it does that very well, where it works into like what you would assume the trope would be, like, perfectly. And that's all fine and dandy for a while you think it's just like a human going around fucking with you. It gets into this weird Evil Dead territory when the like Curse of the Wendigo is explained by the mountain stranger dude who's just hanging around.
So he like that character also adds another thing because you kind of get like the idea that there is this other character out there and you don't know what's up with them. So they're like he's like another threat until you find out he's just a dude who's like super good at hunting Wendigo.
Right. And he's been like surviving in this environment for a long time, sort of thing, fighting them off. So he fulfills like another trope for a different type of horror movie where this is like the all-knowing dude who's like going to help you through the situation. And then the other trope is he dies, so you're forced to be alone again after like the exposition is given. Like, it's just so much shit thrown on top of each other. It's really, really good.
So like that's what really works about it in terms of like your choices like matter in that you can fuck up and have a character die specifically because of things you do, and the game will just keep going.
Right.
And that's why there are a lot of characters because they'll get lopped off, and the way the game is built, they're ones that were more likely to survive than others because it has to be a video game. They need someone to carry through.
Sure.
But
is it
like
possible
what makes
for Samantha to die? Or will she always live?
Well, everyone can die. You can get an all-death ending.
Oh, right, okay.
But that might be the only way for her to go.
Gotcha.
But like compared to something like Telltale's The Walking Dead that has choices where characters can live or die, that's all trying to like form a strong narrative around characters, and it ends up feeling like a waste whenever a character dies, or even if a character could die, because of the way those games are built, the amount of story they'd have to build around that character to keep them going, if they could die for most players, isn't going to be worth it for them to keep that character alive for long anyway. They're probably going to die anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But what works about Until Dawn is you don't actually care about basically any of the characters except Sam, who's like the hardest to kill.
Right.
Like it's just a tropey horror movie, so it's enjoyable either way. You feel invested in that you're playing a story, so you kind of just get to control. Your way you're playing ends up just being controlling what's happening in this story, how these tropes are playing out. You can let someone die if you just don't or get sick of them. Like there's a really strong catharsis in that.
Right.
It's really appealing of like your ability to like direct and shape this horror movie in small ways, which is what those kind of choices are really good for anyway.
And I mean, the way they do it works, right? Like, for example, this is what makes it good, is that this is a big spoiler or whatever, but if you're listening to this, whatever. Emily is the character they want you to hate. They make it hard for you want to save her. Even when you're saving her, she is a complete bitch to your like character that you're controlling, telling you to hurry up and like how useless you are for not like saving her already. She's absolutely the worst. And they know this because the time that she is able to die, they put a gun literally in your hands and give you the option to shoot her in the fucking face with it. Like, they know what they're doing. None of the options on like how people can die in this are made by mistake. That's why it works so well. They play into it so well. The weird thing I found is to save Matt, her boyfriend or whatever, the one that's actually trying to save her, you're not supposed to try to save her. You're actually supposed to just like say, fuck you, Emily, I'm out, and like leave, essentially. Because you're like, you get found later if you try to save her. You were didn't leave in time, so like a Wendigo gets you and like puts you on a hook, basically. It's weird. I don't know. It's one of these games that you could play multiple times and probably should to like see all the different stuff in it. Me not having a PlayStation 4, I've been okay to just like watch people play it and watch things I wanted to see on YouTube. And I highly recommend if you don't have a PlayStation 4 and you're interested in it, that's a good way to do it. You can just go to Homer's Twitch channel even and just watch that VOD. Even his ending is hilarious, so I highly suggest you go check that out. But yeah. So much death.
Yeah, it's just the thing that surprises me about it is like how much I still like was down for it after having sat through it all. Like I kind of figured like, yeah, I'd seen it a couple times, but playing it myself, I'd probably feel like one and done with it.
Yeah.
But I played it and I kind of like, I could probably play that again sometime. Like not immediately.
Right.
But like it's just fun. Like it's just entertaining. Even though like gameplay wise, it's like mostly you're walking through empty rooms and then slowly, like really slowly, and then quick time events, but it still manages to be like really engaging.
Yeah. Did you know that game was originally supposed to come out on the PlayStation 3 and use the Move controller as like the player's flashlight, and it was set in first person? That's weird, right?
That is weird. It's weird that they went
like
that far around with it.
Where they're like, hey, let's make a weird movie thing. Essentially. I love it. I don't know. I really, really think what they did with Until Dawn works. And like I think when they were talking about Until Dawn, they wanted to make it a horror game. And I think they were going originally too far into the basic, like, let's try to throw jump scares at you and like have something chase you all the time. Like just try to keep a player on their like feet and scared, where I'm so glad that they went the other way and realized that horror can like be kind of a weird fun thing to experience and kind of leaned more into that. Although the fact that they released an on-rails shooter for like this franchise or whatever kind of tells me that they don't know what they did with this game and like why people liked it.
That thing is just weird and basically unrelated. I don't get it.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. I think it might have just been a happy accident that they stumbled into and are like, oh, people really like our horror game. Let's like make it more horror. And people are like, no, that's not at all what we like about it. But whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Even if you don't think it's a good horror thing because it's not scary and you're super into jump scares, you love Outlast, you love things jumping out at you and like a creepy atmosphere all the time, it's just like a pretty good character study of having like a bunch of different archetypes of like teenagers in this horror situation and how they relate to each other and how they like work it out and how you're supposed to try to get them out of it based on like what their actions might be. I don't know. It works.
Or not get them out of it.
Or yeah, just fucking brutalize them. Either way.
Like you can have them be super shitty and then murder all of them.
Right, exactly.
With your own hand.
Yeah, for sure. Either way, it's a super good game. The biggest problem I have with it is that I can't play it because it's out on PS4 only. Like, I would love there's no reason this couldn't be on PC, and like that would be really, really cool. But
I think it's like the situation with Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. I think Sony put money into it.
Oh no, I mean there's no technical reason it couldn't be.
Yes,
on PC. True. There's definitely like the legal implications of Sony giving reasons. Money. Yeah, for sure. I guess like let's just talk about some of our favorite parts. I really like that there's a sanatorium, my bad, in it. Is like the stupidest fucking thing. oh, not only is this cabin in like the most secluded part of Western Canada in a snowstorm, it's also joined by an underground fucking tunnel to a sanitarium where they did weird experiments on people. Like, it's the dumbest
It's so
thing.
good.
It's so fucking stupid. And like, okay, let's talk about some theories, I guess, here. Were the Washingtons like owners, do you know, of the sanitarium? Like, were they into some deep shit?
I think they own all that land.
Right, because
Like,
they call it
go
like
through that gate at
Mount
the
Washington.
beginning. Yeah.
But that might have just been like a sarcastic thing because they own the cabin or whatever. But yeah, they go through that gate and they go up the gondola to like this secluded area. All I'm saying is that the Washingtons own that little cabin that Mike and Jess go to, the guest cabin. They own the big cabin that they're all hanging out in. They might own the sanitarium, which means to me that, you know, I don't think the Washingtons are all on, like, up on board the like legal train. That's all I'm saying. So maybe it's good that those girls
Look
die.
at the sense that they go up there very often.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's like that place is not in great shape.
Especially since, like, every time they go up, apparently he has to turn on the water heater. How are the pipes not bursted? And, like,
that's
mold everywhere?
Nope, those pipes shouldn't work.
No, those pipes shouldn't work. They should be completely busted, because that looked like a pretty bad snowstorm.
All those windows should probably be broken.
I mean, they probably should just be broken in general.
There should be more animals living in those houses than the one Wolverine that's in there.
The one Wolverine that's in there is the dumbest thing, and I love it. It's the cat jump scare from Alien, and it's so good.
But it's a Wolverine because we're in Canada.
It's a Wolverine. It's so fucking stupid.
Because both Wolverine and Wendigo fought the Hulk as their first adventure.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I guess. I really, really like Josh's, like, I really like the stupid MacGyver explanation on how, like, Josh set this whole thing up, including the, like, Ouija board, the, like, fake ghost in the basement, the cardboard cutout that, like, jumps at them when they open the one door. It's like the worst Scooby-Doo mystery villain ever.
I'm really a fan of elaborate Scooby-Doo level type villains, but then also there was real magic weird shit going on at the same time also.
And that's exactly what this game is.
That's my favorite thing.
Yeah. I do like how, like, down your throat they shove it that Hannah had the, like, butterfly tattoo, because every picture you see of her like shows up prominently, so that when the reveal happens that she was like the Wendigo that is like kicking the ass of all the other Wendigos there, like you would be like, oh, the tattoo, when really like you probably would have recognized it anyway.
Yeah, they're so heavy-handed with the butterfly fucking chaos thing, butterfly effect thing. It's great.
So
they go all the way in making sure you know what that is.
So what I think happened with her is that, okay, so they both fall down the mountain. Beth gets like cracked in half when she falls because she falls on a rock and dies instantly. I think Hannah buried her and was sad and then dug her up a few days later when she realized she couldn't get out, and started eating her to sustain herself, and then she got cursed by the Wendigo. Because, like, why else would she have made a grave for Beth and then dug her out right away?
Yeah. Well, I found Beth's head in my playthrough. And that was like a weird thing with the Wendigos, where they just kept all the heads around.
Yeah. Why, though?
Weird thing. I don't know.
You know why? No? Okay.
No, I have no idea why. They seem to keep the heads around. It was just a thing.
Okay.
You just open that one door and then all those heads float out. Which is one way you find out Jessica is dead, if she is dead.
Yeah. Yeah, that part was weird because I didn't realize that the only way you know that she's alive, if she has blood on her, she's dead. If she doesn't, she's alive. It's really weird. I don't know. It's hard to not get into just like the minutia of how that game works mechanically, but I don't think that's like what makes that game interesting. So like there's no point in talking about that thing.
Yeah, but the game will deliberately, because the game deliberately fucks with you with making you think characters are dead when they're not.
Yeah.
Like
Emily.
Yes. Emily, like Joshua.
Like Josh, yep.
Yeah. There are more. You do. There is one point in the game where you find on a wall a bunch of pictures of the characters that I think is not part of, like, not narratively set up, because there was like an X over Jessica in my playthrough, which I think is because she was dead.
Gotcha.
But like, that's not a thing Josh would know. None of the characters would know that. So I think that's just like there is a thing in there that tells you at that point in the game,
right,
who's still alive. Because Joshua, at that point, the characters thought he was dead, but he wasn't dead, and his picture was fine.
Weird, huh? That's weird.
Yep. It's just on a wall.
How did you feel about the whole part where the psychiatrist is like showing you pictures and you're basically trying to tailor the game to what's like actually scary to you? And he's like, are you more afraid of rats or snakes? And then like they just like narrow it down so that in this one scene he's holding a needle, and this other scene a rat is here instead of a cockroach. Like, it's really weird.
Yeah, the problem is those options are too simple, and I'm not triggered by any of those. I wasn't triggered by any of the things they happened to mention.
But like, did you recognize when they were trying to use them to scare you? Yes,
the needle one especially. It's just like, Josh has this giant needle now, and I think his mask is supposed. Also, the clown thing. There's like a definite clown in Peter Stormare's office.
Yeah,
that's in like 2 parts. But there are also times like where the camera just shows a rat in the middle of the screen, even though I didn't say rats were scary.
Right.
I don't think. So some of that might just be in there. I can't tell without playing it like specifically to set that stuff off differently how much of it was already there and how much of it cycles out for the other stuff.
See, that I'm interested in. I'm super interested to know how that detail works in that game. I'd love to talk to like one of their programmers and just find out like, why do you have this part and how does it affect like what?
I'm sure they had
later.
a much more ambitious idea for that kind of thing, like in how it would work.
But time
like
constraints.
I think, yeah,
probably.
Just like development concerns. That's a lot of content that's really hard.
Oh, for sure.
This game definitely had, as we talked about, it was going to be a completely different game. I'm sure it had plenty of troubles along the way.
For sure.
I think, Silent Hill Shattered Memories was supposed to do some of that stuff too, of tailoring the game based on
like what you're scared
a personality test it gives you.
Right. That's weird.
But like, yeah, but I haven't heard of people actually noticing big differences in that. So,
yeah,
my characters were wearing different hats or something. That's like the one thing I'd heard of that was different.
Okay, what are some of your favorite parts of this game?
I like the part with where you befriend the wolf, like getting it beat, and then it follows you around later.
And then it really doesn't do anything, really. It just kind of chills with you.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's because there's another playthrough where he's just not there at all.
Yeah,
but it's just nice having him there.
Does he ever save you?
No.
Like, is there a playthrough where he'll like jump at a Wendigo that's about to kill you or something?
I don't.
Because that seems like the easiest thing to do for them.
There might be. I'm not actually. The big thing he does is he points you the right way to go.
Oh, okay.
Like,
he's like an arrow.
Yeah, so you can get through quicker, like, you know. You know
Right.
which way you should be going because you
Right.
basically just follow him.
All right, cool.
So that's a thing.
That part's pretty good.
I like shooting Emily in the face.
Yeah, that was really good. I really like the waiting till the last second too.
Uh-huh.
That was just classy showmanship right there. That's all that was.
I like the parts where it's like gives you the option for like a character to have to maim themselves, which is like a thing that happened in Heavy Rain too.
Yeah.
But like there's a part where you can have Chris think he's shooting himself. You can have Mike has to like machete off his own fingers because they're caught in a trap because you tried to grab a thing.
Yeah.
Like I like those moments. There's something weirdly satisfying about every time it makes like you have to like turn on lighters by like flicking the fucking touchpad and like turn pages by it's every time it's like, oh right, this is a thing. It's like, and games like don't use that thing at all. Like that's just a button for most games. It's just funny using that for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's also just weird when you just have torches all the time, but nobody thinks to light the candles. Like the only time candles get lit is like a plot thing happens. And then all the candles are lit.
I mean, that's just good video game design. That's all that is.
Although my favorite is when Emily just suddenly makes like a torch. Like she dips a fucking stick in oil and then lights it and wraps the cloth around it. Like, how did she know how to do that? It was fucking weird. It seemed like not a thing her character would know how to do. It's really funny. I really like the old guy who's been out in the woods hunting Wendigo. Like, that's a great character to just show up late in the game.
Oh, totally.
I like that,
and the fact
dude.
that they never name him is really good too. He's just like the stranger.
IMDb is credited as flamethrower guy.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's who he is.
Yeah, he's the guy with the flamethrower.
Yeah. I mean, that just makes sense. I'm trying to think, like, I really like the sanitarium parts. I don't like calling it a sanatorium. That just sounds like stupid as shit to me, so I never will. But
okay.
I like that part a lot. Just because
I like when I like when the radio tower falls. That's a cool sequence.
I mean, it's fine, but it's too like natural disaster or something for me. I like the more weird out there thing where he's like looking for his girlfriend in a mine shaft, then he leaves it, and oh, there's a fucking crazy house. There's an asylum because it's a horror game. There's no other reason why there would be the dilapidated like psych ward, basically. It's so stupid. I love it.
I really liked in the middle of when Joshua's having his complete mental breakdown hallucination thing near the end, and you just see a giant pig's head come out.
Oh,
and it gives you a button press to punch the pig.
That's really good.
For no reason. It's really good.
Do you think if you don't punch the pig, Josh lives to become a Wendigo? Because he's like following the way of the Wendigo?
I have no idea.
Because I know he can become a Wendigo. I don't know. It's weird. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, to actually get a good run in that, I'd have to read up on it specifics because like a lot of the choices are fucking esoteric for what would actually work.
Right.
And which I'm fine with because the way I enjoyed playing it was just let it roll. Like there are games where I'd care about making sure the characters live because I care about them, but this is a tropey horror thing. I just want to see it happen.
Yeah, I mean, the times you would care is if you were like trying to get the platinum trophy done or whatever, and you needed a specific thing to happen.
or you're just trying to see I've seen this game now 3 times, played it once. I'd kind of want to see stuff I hadn't seen before.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. When this game came out, apparently it won Best Horror Game at, what was this? The Global Game Awards. I guess that makes sense. What else would it have been up against?
I don't know. My best horror game for last year was City Skylines. So,
right.
I went a different way with that idea.
Sure. This was last year, though, right? 2015?
Yeah, this is last year.
Yeah. Man, I remember giving it, actually, I think it might have been on my list. I think I might have said, fuck it, I'm going to actually put it on there, even though I couldn't play it. I thought it was just so good, and I still think it's so good. It was super fun watching it again, and I can't wait to get a PlayStation 4 and get to play it on my own and just do the thing sometime. Hopefully with somebody around, to play with me that hasn't ever seen it before. I think that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why. That's a big reason why. If I was going to play it, being able to stream it and have people in chat was really good, because it's the kind of thing, like tropey horror like this, you want to experience it with other people.
Oh, for sure.
That's a big part of that kind of viewing experience. So.
For sure. And I think that's why it did very well in the Twitch game for a while when it came out, because people liked to stream it and see, and people liked to watch it that weren't able to play it, and it was just kind of a shared thing, as these,
especially because it was only on one platform. Yeah, I didn't have it, so I watched it. I watched it twice that year.
Who did you watch play it?
I watched Giant Bomb, and I watched Dave Lang stream the whole thing in an Extra Life stream.
Oh, okay. I should watch the Giant Bomb one. I bet it goes pretty bad. I could see it going real bad. But yeah.
Yeah, that one goes pretty bad. I think they make the same mistake I do at the end. I think that was the one that did it. Which is why I was real kind of mad I made that mistake. It's I'd seen this mistake and I did it again. God damn it.
Let's end off with parts you didn't like so much in it.
Parts I didn't like. I mean, it starts a little slow, but that's kind of part of this genre.
Yeah. For 2.5 hours, though. It felt slower than I remember. I don't know why.
I don't know. That's part of the thing, I think, with this kind of story. Even in movies, I feel like horror movies that end well and get to the good place can get away more with starting with longer bad starts than you might remember. And that, you forget about it once you get to the later parts of the thing that are really good.
Mm-hmm.
But on a rewatch with paying a little more closer attention, you might notice more.
Right.
A lot of the game is walking very slowly through rooms.
Sure.
Your movement speed is pretty slow a lot of the times. Wish it were faster. It does the weird thing where when you walk into a new place, if you're holding the stick, you'll keep going in that direction. But if you move the stick at all, then the character will automatically face that direction. Which is not a big deal because the game is so slow anyway, but it's just, weird. It's not tank controls.
Yeah,
but it is fixed camera. It's really funny to me that the game's has camera control, but it's nothing. You can push, there were scenes you push the stick to the right and the left, and it moves 20 pixels either way. It's what is this?
So it controls pretty much the way I assume it does then, watching it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I figured there wasn't probably any, real special thing where it's no, you have to feel how this plays. I guess I assumed that pretty correctly then, that you hold it in a direction that you want to go, and they will move at the speed you're watching to that place, and then it'll ask you to push a button, and then you do that.
Yeah, like the bigger thing is just being under pressure to make some of the bigger decisions.
Right.
Like there's a time limit on a lot of that stuff, so you're kind of under pressure.
Yeah, I could see that. Cool. I think that'll do it for the inaugural episode. So that was fun. We'll do more of this. If people want to write in or whatever, please do so. I think podcast@burningbarrel.co still works, so you might as well just use that to keep like podcast stuff in. If you like certain horror things that you want us to check out and maybe talk about or whatever more in detail specifically for this new podcast series we're trying out here. Otherwise, what did you think of Until Dawn? If you've played it, send in your stuff based on that. But yeah, that'll do it for this time. So thanks for hanging out, thanks for listening, and we will see you in the next one. Sweet dreams.